the system. So what we
Wait,
decided.
Rob, if the
Grans que je les
walrus
en
is
direct.
chasing me on the land, it's not catching me. I would never live that one down. Okay.
They can
This
charge.
one human
Pretty
is
damn
not
fast.
gonna
Bon, après, je regardais, ça devait devoir monter.
They're pretty fast.
I'm
they're
just
like
saying.
they're like no, think of a hippo in the water. You would think big fat ass hippo will never catch me, but you put a hippo in the water, those suckers are moving like a little motorboat.
I know. I'm just saying. I would never live it down the next day. The
Your
walrus
willpower would make you
chase me
succeed.
down on land. Okay, but go on.
Comment tu fais pour...
That's funny.
So we've decided to make liquid that could use as
Jouer
hydraulic
avec le
fluids
couteau.
for moving robots around also as the battery. So the liquid has electrical potential that we use to power the robot. So we've called it robot blood. And now we recently published something called the robot heart, which is a stretchable pump that behaves, it's electrical. It's not the same way as our body works. There's no muscle, real
Our
muscle.
heart is electrical too, though.
That's a
Rob.
good point. Thank you for
Yeah.
that's great. I would start using that. Stretchable soft pump that it also pumps the same blood that powers the heart, and then gets everything moving. So the energy
Okay,
is doing a
see.
lot more than just powering the system.
You're creeping me out.
Told you.
Okay. You're creeping me out because now you got robots that have a heart and they got blood and they can feel and they don't need to be recharged and
Wait,
this
Chuck. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
if it bleeds,
That's a good point.
kill it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You've built a synthetic vascular system
Mhm.
into your robots as well. So if this fluid is it energy dense, it's just not just as a hydraulic. Is it creating? How is it creating
It's got to
energy?
be a conductor and
Is-
hydraulic.
Is it just
I mean,
Is it kinetic or is it chemical or is it both?
It's electrochemical. So the hydraulic liquid has electrical potential in it. And then we pass it by electrodes, which then turn that electrical potential into electricity.
That's
That
very
powers it.
clever.
Thanks.
And Chuck, any liquid will have that property, not the electrical properties, but it'll have
Right.
the pressure properties. So
Right. Yeah.
he's just being clever and double dipping. on
That's
the-
what I'm
on the
saying. He's
utility
using.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like our circulatory system, you know, it does many different
Yeah,
things.
that's right.
It does many different things. So, you know, it's making use of one thing in several different ways, which
That's
is
what nature does.
yeah. So yeah, that's very, very clever.
Thank you.
And by the way, stop it.
All right, we'll stop.
Is there anything you could tell us about where you like to look at going in the future? What your aim is, where your aim is?
Well, my lab, we want general purpose robots. And for that, they need to be adaptive, unplanned environments. Space exploration is a great place for that. Operate for long periods of time without needing to be recharged. Also ocean exploration. So we're focused on ocean exploration robots and space exploration robots. But to be adaptive, you need feedback control. It's not just vision. Like, you know, I don't think there's an example of an animal that only uses vision. I mean, touch is an important part of adaptivity. So that's why we spent a lot of time making our robots adaptive with these stretchable fiber optic touch sensors.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because once again, talking about nature, you know, like so many animals in nature use sensors that we would never even begin to understand. Well, we would never understand them for our use because we couldn't do it. You know, even like something as simple as a snake sticking out its tongue, or a dog, you know, sniffing another dog's butt. You know, they're
Really? You have
there's
to
a
go there?
No, come on, let's be honest. They're not just perverts. They're
No,
getting
the
a lot
question-
of information.
No, Chuck. The question for the ages is, if dogs can smell things like miles away,
Yeah.
why do they have to get within a quarter inch of a butt to smell it?
Okay, I take it back. They are perverts.
Doesn't that mean?
Yeah. It's like, hey, you know what, Jim? I know it was you from a block away, but what the hell?
I figured I'd double check
I
at a
figured
quarter
I'd
of an
get
inch.
up in there anyway.
I knew it.
So guys, we gotta land this plane.
Oh, before we
here.
do, Neil, I need a practical answer. Just how washable is it? Are we talking one wash? 2 washes? Can I get a year out of this?
Can I iron it?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
I wring
We
it
need-
dry?
We need more tests to be
Okay.
able to say that, but we've done tons of tests and they survive. The electronics part is fully removable, so you can just slide it out and then put it in the washer and dryer. But to be able to say if they will last a year, we need to test it for a year, which we haven't yet.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
As long as you don't mind me asking.
Cool. And one
was
last point I just want to verify, and I think it's true. Rob, you were describing the limits of the pitching the pitching motion that would put a pitcher at risk of requiring Tommy John surgery. That presumably you don't know any of this in advance. You have to teach the system what will and will not be the consequences of what someone does in the system to then have a baseline of data so that you can advise a next generation of people on what the causes and effects are of their problems. Isn't that correct? Don't you need actual people to try this, get the Tommy John surgery and say, oh, here's why you needed the Tommy John surgery. That's after the fact, so that everybody that comes later, they can know it before the fact.
Yeah, we need to provide a benefit that is not just on injury prevention to get people wearing these so that we can develop the probabilistic models that will allow us
There you
to
go.
predict
Yeah.
when these injuries will happen. But there's also the possibility that we can analytically predict this based off of, again, we think that accelerations are being radically under-predicted based off of motion capture data. And if we can say that the acceleration is actually, more than 500 degrees per second squared, it's 700 in the first couple of milliseconds, and that'll change.
Just to be clear, that's an angular acceleration.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, when you say degrees, right.
And that could end up with torques that are, 40% more than what people think. And no wonder you're tearing your shoulder musculature, ligamenture, and not just the elbow, although the UCL is what fails mostly. But then that's because that acceleration is being transferred into that elbow snap. So we think that, yes, we want a probabilistic model, but maybe along the way we can capture information at high enough frame rates that we can actually understand just from a fundamental level. Of course, you're breaking your ligaments because you're applying torques that are beyond what they can handle.
Wow.
Technique.
All right, guys, it's been a delight to have you as a guest on Star Talk Sports Edition. We'll be monitoring your space going forward, and if you make new developments, be sure to come back on and talk about them
Please do.
here on Star
Absolutely.
Talk Sports
Thank
Edition.
you.
All right, excellent. Chuck, Gary, always good to have you there, man.
Always a
Pleasure.
pleasure.
As my
Absolute
co-host. This has been Star Talk Sports Edition, all about the future of stuff, figuring out what you're doing inside your own skin, for better or for worse. Okay. I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist. Keep looking up.
Get your team laptops on Intel vPro with all-day real-world battery life so we can work anywhere. Like the new rooftop deck. Hey, Ryan. It's nice to get outside. Elbow over.
Securing Charlie.
Throwing Semtex.
Alpha secure.
Target
Friendly UAV online. Enemy securing Alpha. Charlie secure. We're losing Alpha. The enemy took Alpha. Enemy UAV overhead. Throwing grenade! Multiple movers!
Throwing Semtex.
The enemy holds two objectives. Secure those, but secure Bravo. We're getting hit hard. Enemy contact! In the area. Mission failed. Return to base.